shadows dance. Through the blizzard's veil, silence strikes. In the night they gleam, voices call. From a shattered dream of barren frost, where the brave collide, close to the lost. In the Google light, through the skies of war, we chase the light, carving hope in the endless night. Echoes in the frost, we rise, we burn. In the war's cold heart, the tides will turn. With us steal our souls, we'll break the chains. Through the dark, our fire remains. Echoes in the frost, we fight, we soar. In the void, our dreams wage war. In the silence, a shadow calls through the steel, where the lost still fall for the spark, the flame will face the storm. In the frost, our hearts are born. Echoes in the frost, we rise, we burn. In the war's cold heart, the tides will turn. With us steal our souls, we'll break the chains. Through the dark, our fire remains. Echoes in the frost, we fight, we soar. In the void, our dreams wage war.
Chapter 1. Iron Requiem. In the frostbitten wastes of the Demilitarized Zone, a jagged scar of no man's land between the Northern Coalition and the Southern Pact, Lieutenant Jason Ride was a living myth. At 47, he was a grizzled husk of a man, his face a roadmap of scars, some from shrapnel, others from choices he couldn't unmake. His eyes, gray as the ash of burned-out cities, carried the weight of decades spent in the cockpit. His mech, Iron Requiem, a 60-ton colossus of blackened steel, was as much a part of him as his own battered soul. Its hull was pocked with weld scars and faded kill marks, each a testament to the enemies Ride had sent to the void. To the Coalition, he was their deadliest ace, a pilot with a kill count so high that younger recruits whispered his name like a curse or a prayer. The year was 2078, and the DMZ was a frozen graveyard of shattered mechs, rusted hulks half buried in snow, and the dreams of those who dared to fight there. Tensions had erupted after a Southern Pact recon drone, sleek and wasp-like, breached the Coalition's airspace, its wreckage now smoldering in a classified bunker. Both sides were spoiling for a fight, and the air crackled with the static of unspoken threats. Ride's squadron, the 17th Iron Dragoons, had been scrambled to hold Grid 7 Alpha, a desolate valley choked with knee-deep snow, jagged obsidian crags, and the ghosts of battles past. Intelligence warned of a Pact mech lance advancing. 4 heavy-class rigs, led by a pilot known only as Red Scorpion, a name that carried its own bloody legend. Ride sat in Iron Requiem's cockpit, the air thick with the metallic tang of recycled oxygen and the faint burn of ozone from the mech's fusion core. The hum of the reactor vibrated through his bones, a familiar pulse that felt more like a heartbeat than his own. His neural link, a hair-thin implant at the base of his skull, buzzed, feeding him a torrent of sensor data. Thermal signatures, terrain maps, and the faint flicker of enemy IFF signals, closing at 4 kilometers. The cockpit's holoscreen bathed his face in cold blue light. illuminating the lines etched deeper by every mission. His squadron, 3 green pilots fresh from the Sims, chattered nervously over the comms, their voices tinny and brittle in his headset. Private Daniels, barely 22, was trying to sound brave, his words tripping over themselves.
So, sir, you think it's really Red Scorpion out there? I heard they took out a whole Lance solo at Vector Ridge.
Focus, Daniels.
Ride snapped, his voice gravelly but steady, cutting through the static like a blade.
Rumors don't kill you. Mechs do. Stay behind me. Keep your intervals. And don't die.
He glanced at the squad's vitals on his HUD. Daniel's heart rate was spiking. Jenkins was breathing too fast, and Torres, the quiet one, was steady but tense. Kids, all of them. Ride had stopped counting how many rookies he'd buried.
Sir, what's the play?
Torres asked, her voice clipped but calm, the only one not shaking.
Hold the line,
Ride said.
They come through the pass. We hit hard and fast. No heroics. You see Red Scorpion, you call it out and stay clear. That bastard's mine.
The comms fell silent, save for the faint crackle of interference. Outside, the wind howled, whipping snow against Iron Requiem's viewport, where frost spiderwebbed the reinforced glass. Ride's fingers tightened on the controls, the worn leather grips molded to his hands after years of war. He'd fought in this valley before, back when it had a name instead of a grid code, back when he still believed in things like victory. His HUD pinged, thermal signatures sharpening, now 3 kilometers out. The enemy was closing fast, their fusion cores glowing like distant stars against the snow.
Lock it down, kids.
Ride said, his tone low and final.
They're here.
The first Pact mech crested the ridge, a hulking Titan class painted in crimson and black, its auto-cannon barrels glowing red-hot as they spun up. The ground shook as it fired, shells screaming through the air, tearing craters in the snow. Ride jinked Iron Requiem left, the mech's massive legs grinding through the drifts as he leaned into the neural link, his mind merging with the machine. Snow erupted around him, shrapnel pinging off his armor, but he was already moving, his targeting reticle snapping onto the Titan's chest.
Firing!
Ride growled, squeezing the trigger. Twin plasma lances erupted from Iron Requiem's shoulder mounts, their azure beams slicing through the blizzard. The Titan's armor melted like wax, its fusion core rupturing in a blinding fireball that painted the valley in harsh light. The shockwave rattled Ride's cockpit, and he felt the familiar jolt of adrenaline, sharp and bitter.
Another one for the choir,
he muttered, his catchphrase for every kill. A grim nod to the ghosts he sent to whatever afterlife awaited. The words were ritual now, a shield against the weight of what he'd done. The greenhorns cheered over the comms, their voices cracking with relief.
Holy shit, Lieutenant, you smoked him!
Daniels shouted.
Stow it.
Ride barked.
That was the easy one. Red Scorpion's still out there.
His HUD flickered, warning of new signatures. 2 Raptor-class flankers, lean and predatory, darting from the flanks. Their missile pods lit up, and a swarm of warheads streaked toward the squad, trailing white contrails.
Break left, Daniels.
Ride roared, but the rookie was too slow, his mech stumbling in the snow. The missiles hit, and Daniel's Warden-class rig vanished in a bloom of fire and twisted metal. His vitals flatlined on Ride's HUD, the silence louder than any explosion.
God damn it.
Ride cursed, swinging Iron Requiem's railgun toward the nearest Raptor. The hypersonic slug punched through the mech's cockpit with a sound like a thunderclap, and the rig collapsed, its legs twitching in the snow.
Another one for the choir,
Ride said, his voice colder now, edged with something raw.
Daniels is gone.
Torres whispered, her voice trembling.
He was right there.
Focus, Torres.
Ride cut in.
Mourn later. Fight now.
The second raptor tried to retreat, its thrusters flaring as it weaved through the crags. Ride was relentless, boosting Iron Requiem forward, the mech's massive legs churning snow into a white haze. He fired a point-blank Gauss cannon shot, the recoil jarring his spine. The raptor's torso vaporized, its wreckage skidding into a rock face.
Another one for the choir,
Ride said, almost to himself, the words heavy in his mouth. Jenkins and Torres hung back, their mechs crouched behind a ridge, their IFFs blinking nervously on Ride's HUD. He could feel their fear through the comms, their awe and terror at the machine he'd become. He didn't care. He was hunting. Then Red Scorpion appeared. The Pact Ace's mech, a custom Viper class, emerged from the blizzard like a specter. It was sleek and deadly, painted blood red with a scorpion emblem etched across its chest, its laser arrays glowing with a malevolent light. Before Ride could react, the Viper fired, its lasers carving through the valley in crimson arcs. Jenkins' mech, a bulky Centurion class, was caught mid-step. The beams sliced through its torso and the rig collapsed in two burning halves. Jenkins' scream cut short as his signal died.
Jenkins!
Torres screamed, her mech lurching forward as if to charge.
Stay back, Torres.
Ride roared, his voice like iron.
This one's mine.
The Viper was fast, weaving through the rocks with a grace that made Iron Requiem feel like a lumbering beast. Its lasers burned furrows in Ride's armor, warning alarms blaring as coolant lines ruptured and sparks showered the cockpit. Ride gritted his teeth, the neural link searing his skull as he pushed Iron Requiem to its limits. He'd fought aces before, cocky bastards who thought speed and tricks could outmatch experience. He knew their game.
Keep dancing, Scorpion.
Ride muttered, feinting a retreat. He let Iron Requiem stumble, its thrusters flickering as if damaged, luring the Viper into a narrow pass flanked by towering crags. The Pact Ace took the bait, its lasers flashing as it closed the distance. Ride's lips curled into a grim smile.
Got you.
He spun Iron Requiem, the mech's servos screaming, and fired his entire missile rack. Dozens of warheads flooded the pass, overwhelming the Viper's point defenses. Explosions ripped through its frame, the red hull crumpling like foil. A black ejection pod rocketed skyward, Red Scorpion escaping, but Ride didn't care about the pilot. Only the kill mattered.
Another one for the choir,
he said, his voice hollow, the words echoing in the cockpit. The valley fell silent, save for the crackle of burning wrecks and the faint moan of the wind. Torres' mech stood frozen at the edge of the pass, her comms filled with ragged sobs.
They're gone.
She whispered.
Daniels, Jenkins, they're just gone.
Get it together, Torres,
Ride said, his tone softer but still sharp.
You're alive. That's what counts.
He powered down Iron Requiem, his hands trembling on the controls, the neural link's feedback leaving his head throbbing. He'd won again. But the faces of Daniels and Jenkins joined the parade of ghosts in his dreams. Kids who'd trusted him, kids he'd failed. The choir grew louder every day, their voices a dirge he couldn't escape. Back at base, the brass pinned another medal on Ride's chest, the ceremony a blur of hollow words and forced salutes. The ribbon hung heavy against his worn fatigues, joining a row of others he never looked at. Colonel Hargrove, a desk jockey with a politician's smile, clapped him on the shoulder. Another notch for the legend, Ride. Red Scorpion's down and Grid 7 Alpha's ours. You're a goddamn hero. Ride didn't reply. He just stared past the colonel, out the base's reinforced windows, where the DMZ stretched endless and unforgiving, a white wasteland under a steel-gray sky. The war wasn't over. It never would be. And Jason Ride, the ace with the bloody catchphrase, would keep sending souls to the choir until it finally claimed him too.